together at her parents' house or something, but it was essentially about a breakup. But it is the most recorded song in history. And I was reading that they denied parole again for Mark David Chapman, who is the guy who killed John Lennon 42 years ago. I guess it'll be 42 years this December 8th. That's my son's birthday. That's why I remember when John Lennon died. But Mark David Chapman, who I confuse with John Hinckley, because John Hinckley is the guy who attempted to assassinate Ronald Reagan. He got out. Some people were really salty about the fact that John Hinckley was out and he's making music, I guess. John Hinckley is like going on tour or something. He was doing YouTube videos of him in his basement playing guitar, living at his mother's house. But because he has so much notoriety, of course he's going to go out and people will go just to kind of gawk and see what this guy's doing. But a lot of times I'll confuse John Hinckley with Mark David Chapman. Mark David Chapman is 67 years old, and obviously he's been in prison for a long time. But every few years he goes up for parole, and he's been denied again for the 12th time. They don't want to let Mark David, because he killed Lennon. You figure Hinckley tried to kill the president, failed. He said he was trying to impress Jodie Foster at the time.
Did it work?
To the best of my knowledge, it did not. Could you imagine if Jodie Foster, because at some point in your brain, it's got to be like, oh my God, this is a horrific scene. But this guy is such a fan of mine. It's got to be different for women. You're like, there's so many psycho men out there. But if a woman was a fan of mine and tried to assassinate the president, she's like, I tried to kill Joe Biden because I'm a huge Alan Cox fan. And I was trying to impress him. I don't think Jodie Foster, I don't think it wasn't like a political thing. He thought, here's a world leader. I'll take him out. It's not like I don't think he had any issues with his politics. Jodie Foster will notice me now. Mark David Chapman was a John Lennon fan who wanted to be famous. He had him famous. Everybody knows the story. He was out in front of his apartment, has stopped John Lennon, had him sign a copy of, I think, Double Fantasy or something, which was the Lennon-Yoko album, and shot him in the back.
Is there
right in front of his apartment building?
Is that marked, or is like his apartment now a museum or something?
No, people still live there.
Oh, really?
I think James Taylor famously had an apartment in that same building. A lot of famous people live. The Dakota, I think, was the building.
Yep. I didn't know if it was like the Kennedy assassination where they have the X on the street.
Again, I don't know if the building is still in the same state, but I think it's still an apartment building. And earlier that day, he had autographed Double Fantasy for Mark David Chapman. Mark David Chapman came back that night as John Lennon and Yoko Ono were coming back, and he shot him that night. But James Taylor, I think, lived in that building and said that he had a window onto the front of the building and heard the shots but didn't know what was happening. It's New York. You hear gunshots all the time. So Mark David Chapman has basically spent all this time trying to convince the parole boards that he is sorry and it's despicable and he's a changed man and blah, blah, blah. And they do not let him out. He said, I assassinated John Lennon because he was very, very famous, and I was very, very selfish, seeking self-glory. And they gave him 20 years to life. Seems like it's going to be more on the life end of the spectrum.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Well, when they say...
So he's up for parole next in February of 2024.
I always wondered that about life sentences. Why, when they give you a life sentence, you can still get out?
Because of parole. Because parole is an option. It's like, unless they say life in prison with no chance of parole.
No possibility of parole.
No possibility. Okay. Or they give people 8 life sentences, because they killed 40 people or whatever. They're like, 8 life sentences plus 931 years, because which sounds silly to people.
And a fine.
Right.
$600.
And you can't pay by check.
Yeah, cash.
Yeah. But a lot of times that's just because of sentencing requirements. They just literally add up what all the charges would add up to.
Got you.
So they go, well, he got 931 years. It's not a number they pulled out of their ass. It's just how the charges pile up. And if you get hit with 57, capital offenses. Our buddy Chet said, I took an overnight Euro train from Paris to Valencia, Spain, and the guy in front of me farted the whole night. And we had assigned seats, so I couldn't move.
Mhm.
And it was awful.
I mean, did he fart or is it just Europe?
We were on this train, and boy, they had the windows open, and it was. If Poundcake was tooting up on a plane, does he adhere to his own advice and use the bathroom, or keep stinking up the cabin? Somebody asked.
He's on the phone.
Oh, he's on the phone.
Yeah.
Oh.
Someone trying to get in under the wire.
I was going to say, I guess I shouldn't have closed out my phones.
Sorry, what was your question?
Somebody asked if you had been tooting up a storm on a plane.
No.
Would you use the bathroom or keep stinking up the cabin?
I would go to the. I would. You know me. I hold it in.
I know.
I hold in my farts.
He's clenching.
Yeah, I.
He's
clench.
not a fart your farts kind of guy. He is clenching. He doesn't ever want to stink up anything because he's got the rule in his car. You can't fart in his car. Kick out of the car. He's not.
I just think that is so rude to do it. And not even if I wanted to fart on a plane, it would be one thing if I had a row to myself or there was no one behind me or no one would hear it. That's one thing. This was a full plane, and I had my head resting on the back because I was trying to attempt to sleep. So I had my head resting on the back of the chair. And the moment it hit my nostrils, it was literally like in the cartoons where you have like the green gas
like,
in the
like
nose.
dance around.
And literally, I was like, oh my God, I was trying not to make a scene because I was like, I want to cuss this bitch out. Like,
Old episode of Chowder.
I'm 30 now.
As much as I am fart your farts, I will try to hold it as best I can on a plane. I do not, because that is an enclosed place and that is a rude thing to do. But I'd either go to the bathroom or I try to just not fart on a plane.
Hey, Jake.
Try not to be the
Hey,
fart
Alan.
guy.
I'm listening with interest to you talking about the Mark David Chapman, John Lennon thing, and I've never purported to be a big Beatles fan. And I kind of heard of everything you mentioned before, but was there a detail about him having a copy of Catcher in the Rye in his pocket as well? My firstborn son is named Holden after Holden Caulfield from that novel. And one of the overarching themes of that novel is that Holden was obsessed with, criticizing people that he thought were phony and inauthentic. And my understanding was Mark David Chapman thought that even though he was a Beatles fan, that Lennon was kind of turning into a poser and a phony. And that was one of the crazy reasons, in addition to the Jodie Foster thing, that contributed to the murder. I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know if that was apocryphal or not. I don't know if that actually happened. I think that there had been a couple of reports that was a thing, but that Mark David Chapman, I don't know. I before he got sentenced, he read from Catcher in the Rye. So I don't know if that was it was clearly an important book to him. I don't know what the connection was to John Lennon. Alan, Boys to Men wrote a song called Yesterday. They didn't cover the Beatles. Great job, Punch Juice.
I'm not sure about that.
I'm going to go punch
Listen,
juice.
again, it's the most recorded song in history, so I believe you if you say Boys to Men did the
They
Beatles
did.
yesterday. I mean,
They all. Ooh, I hate people.
Welcome back.
First day back.
Yeah.
And he has a hard time. See, he's all chill out in Colorado.
Yeah, you got to.
Now he's back in the CLE, and he's got to recalibrate.
Yeah, you're 30. You got to square up. You got to state your set.
Stay your set, cuz. All right, we got to go. Guardians baseball, 6:10 is your start right around the corner downtown here at Progressive Field. What do you have coming up, William?
I am doing a show with Mary Santora this Saturday in Willoughby at Garage Bar in Willoughby. You can get tickets by going to BillSquire.com. And then the following Saturday, September 24th, Mary, Ramon Rivas, Dave Morales, and I are going to be at the Lorraine Palace Theater. You can get those tickets at LorrainePalace.com.
Punch Juice?
Radio Cody B, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and new Poundcake podcast coming tomorrow.
All right. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys, very much. I'm out there at Alan Cox Show. This program is available for you on the iHeartRadio app. You can also leave us